Oftentimes we, on a day-to-day, there are things that we take refuge in, whether we are aware of it or not. And today you've deliberately and intentionally decided to take refuge in community by being here, by showing up to a very unique space where there are others who are also on this path, curious and interested and looking at, what's the meaning of this thing called life or suffering or who am I? Or that yearning, that longing for peace, that longing for happiness or something that is really sustaining, like something lasting amidst all the ups and downs, the changes. So we're taking refuge in community, which is a space that holds and allows and make way for us to come back to our perception, come back to our feelings, come back to our thoughts, and return back to our body. And then come back to the truth of how things really are amidst the sea of highs and lows, ups and downs, gains and loss, pain and pleasure. So taking refuge in Sangha, which means the community that practices mindfulness and harmony. And then taking refuge in the Dharma, which is the teachings of universal truth. What you know to be true in your own experience, but also is reflected in our collective experience. So that's the truth I'm talking about. Not the truth that is said by someone else telling us this is true, but that truth that we all have touched into. So we're taking refuge in that truth. And that's the Dharma, the way things really are. And then taking refuge in the Buddha, which is this possibility of waking waking up to this human experience, waking up to facets of ourselves, waking up the pain and the joy and the meaning of this life, and also the refuge that we might have if we have, reverence to the Buddha. So the historical Buddha, we can take refuge in him or the qualities, the awakened qualities within us and within those around us, the Buddha nature. Much of our time out in the world, we see, the things that we don't want to take refuge in. And we know, what those things are. And so here we're finding nourishment and stability by taking refuge in the wholesomeness, the goodness of community, of teachings, of Buddha nature, of awakening. So wherever you are now, I'd like to invite you to find a comfortable posture and sit in any way that feels supportive, where the body can remain stable. So we'll begin sitting, but if you feel like at any point you want to stand and walk, you can. After 15 minutes, I'm going to invite the bell, and that will indicate to you that, okay, it's been 15 minutes, and maybe at that point you might want to shift posture. You might want to move to standing or walking, or maybe sitting on the sofa, or, if you want to lie down, finding an area, maybe to the side here, if you'd like, or sit on the floor. So really listening to the body, and giving yourself permission to find that sense of ease and stability. It's that ease and stability when we arrive in it that helps cultivate mindfulness. Yeah, it supports us in going deeper into stillness. And also knowing that stillness is not required. So you're not, trying to force yourself to sit still, but that the stillness comes by way of us learning how to soften, relax the body, and just let everything come to rest. And also noticing, with awareness, where sometimes we might hold up our posture, right? We tense up, we tighten up, and that can, lead to that that tension, that tightness. And so I invite you to experiment with posture, or with, you know, what that feels like to let your body rest. Oftentimes we don't rest until we go to sleep. But what if we attempt resting while sitting, while standing, while walking around the room, one step, one foot in front of the other, but there's a sense of rest and ease. There's a presence that we bring, an intentionality that we bring to that step or that breath. Sitting in a chair, if you are sitting in a chair, maybe your feet are firmly planted to the floor. The hands can rest on the lap or anywhere if that it feels supportive and comfortable. Letting the shoulders drop, maybe even like raising the shoulders up to the ears and then dropping them. Or maybe, using the face to tense up the face, feel all the muscles tighten up, and then let it relax. And then, if it feels supportive, taking a few deep intentional breaths, breathing in and out through the nose if that is available for you today. And if the breath is a wonderful anchor, perhaps for a short time, see if you can deepen and lengthen the breath. Oftentimes, our breath becomes shallow when we're anxious, or when the mind is preoccupied. We forget to take deep breaths, and breathing intentionally, we can make the breath like a healthy breath. That healthy breath is deep and long. And you might become aware of the sound of the breath in the back of the throat, noticing the energy wind coursing through the body, filling up and then emptying. Maybe it's noticing the breath at the nostrils, feeling the cool air enter the nostrils, and then the warm air leaving the nostrils. bringing this detailed attention to what is happening internally. You might notice the contact points of where the body is coming in contact with the surface, the feet touching the floor, the bottom side of the body pressing against the chair or the cushion. Noticing where the hands are resting. Just feeling this body in its posture. Oh, it feels like this. Bringing this sense of curiosity. Just like how we are curious when we're interested in something. Awareness turned towards the experience. Maybe noticing sensations, sensations of the breath, or sensations that are already there. Or maybe no sensations. That's okay too. And be aware of sound. In the room, there's the sound of a ticking clock. And hearing sound near and sound that's outside this room. Letting sound bring you back to the present moment. You continue to rest your awareness in any of these anchors. That could be the breath or the contact points in the body, bodily sensations or sound. remembering that whatever arises is be included as part of our practice. The unwanted thought, the unwanted feeling or sensation can be met with this sense of wonder, curiosity, and this friendliness. Hello, thought. Hello, bodily sensation. Hello, feeling. I've come home to be with you now. I know you're there, and I've come home to be with you. We come home to be with all of these things. And this, at times when you're trying to do something with the thought or the feeling or the sensation, what if, what if awareness can just rest and observe these things, letting it be. If the mind is restless, let the mind be restless. If the mind is sleepy, let it be sleepy. Awareness can still remain alert and present to these states of mind. If the body is experiencing discomfort, is it wise to move, to shift our posture? Would that be supportive? Or is there a possibility of being with that unpleasant or uncomfortable sensation? Or maybe it's a good feeling, pleasant sensation. Can we savor that? Mm. Of non doing, we welcome it all. And the practice is to rest, rest in being. Rest in that ground of being. You'll hear the 15-minute bell, and you're welcome to continue to practice in the posture that you're in, or you can gently move into another posture, remembering to carry this energy of mindfulness, of paying attention to intention, movement, to sensations, to the breath. And the practice will continue for another 15 minutes. In a moment, you'll hear the sound of the bell. I invite you to continue to cultivate awareness, even in the transition, beginning with small movements and then gradually increasing the size of movement, and just letting that too be a part of the practice. Maybe begin by moving the hands and feet, rocking the body side to side. If your eyes were closed, you can begin to open them, opening the sense doors to seeing light, form, colors, objects, and reorienting yourself into the room. And maybe you want to stretch or move in a particular way. Feel free to just take a few minutes to move. And if you want to take a bio break, there's a bathroom right across this room in the hallway. Or have a sip of water. So, really taking this moment now to let your body uh, move in such a way that is an expression of this love, this care. And welcome, Joe. Glad to see you here. Well, welcome, Margaret. Yes, saw you came on earlier. So we'll come back in just 2 minutes at 5:30. We'll begin the talk at 5:30. Yeah. Mm. Somewhere around there because there's also a bathroom upstairs too. Yeah. What if we set the AV up outside next time? And had a sitting out there. A couple of long extension cords will do. Yeah. Very long. Hmm. Still waiting on one person to come back into the room. Mm. bring everyone back. So I want to just check in with everyone. How was it for you to attempt not to do something with your thoughts or with what you were feeling inside while you were in the practice just now? You see Matt nodding. Yeah, mostly to not do. So you're in the not doing. Yes, observing. Okay. Yeah. Yes, more so than doing. We know what doing is like, right? So that's why I'm using the word non-doing as a synonym to being. Yes, thank you.
Technology. Geez. It's a good reminder to me that even trying to quiet the mind is doing,
Uh-huh.
because I think I have an expectation of what sitting and meditating should feel like, and the what the space in my mind kind of should feel like and should look like. And yeah, I mean, I just the ease there.
Yeah.
When you just allow it to flow, that's where the good stuff is.
Yeah. Wonderful observation. Just even, yeah, trying to get it to calm or still it. And what did you know you notice yourself doing in that little subtle way? What were you?
Um, I think the resting, like finding that ease or resting in the body,
Hmm.
and just allowing as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, this is like so nuanced, but there's that way in which you're orienting your awareness to, you know, resting. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Mm. Anyone else? Yeah, you could leave it there. Oh, let me can you turn the mic up? Yeah. Up. Mhm.
Right. I think I had an interesting experience because I've done meditation before as well, but it's been a while.
Mhm.
And the one that I used to practice was mainly based on sensations and breath. But to get like when you were guiding us through like the sounds as well, to kind of incorporate that into like my meditation this go around, is a new experience for me, and I think it's fruitful.
Yeah.
But I think it's like not just the sound part, but I think just meditating again after a while. I think it was also challenging in moments.
Oh, can you say that last part again,
Oh, I
please?
think just because it's been a while since I've sat,
Yeah.
is just meditating in general outside of the sounds. That was also a little challenging
Yeah.
at times. But I think kind of getting back to the grace of observing and then being okay with going away from it and then kind of coming back. Yeah,
Yeah.
took a while, but got there a little bit.
That's really great. Yeah. Do you feel like that grace is that something more newer as far as, learning how to have grace for that mind that wanders?
I think it's kind of reintroducing it, I suppose.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting kind of acquainted to it again.
Mm.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so with sound, one of the things when we practice is the first part is anchoring ourselves into something to help ground us into the present moment. And then later on, there is a level of effort that is applied, to stay energized, awake, alert. There is a degree of like efforting. So we're not just like, I'm just gonna be, and then like somehow the mind will focus. So there's a lot of nuance in this, and as far as instructions and school of thoughts, but that part where like as you were sharing, is it Jessica? Yeah, yeah, you was sharing earlier about, it's like reorienting or turning awareness towards, right? That resting. So there is some way in which we are engaging with each moment. Because if we leave it like just like how we normally are, the default mode is we just drift into thoughts, into certain states. There's these default ways of being and memories that will just sweep us away. So there is effort there. And even though in all the Buddhist lists, all the different qualities and such, effort, also known as energy, comes up a lot. So I think it comes up, was it 8 or 10 times? I gave a talk on this a couple years back, but how the number of time effort comes up as, how important it is that awareness alone is not enough. There's this effort, that we are to apply moment by moment. But it's not an effort of this kind of like doing that we normally associate with effort, like pushing through, right? But it's like so subtle. So even the word, if we say there's something we're doing, that will take us out of it, because the only way the only association we have to the word doing is this, like, I need to do something, fix something, change something about what's happening right now. So efforting is like, to me, I like the word energy better, because we're like generating this energy. It's like increasing attention or interest. In that way, at times it's like even this turning towards, you know, leaning in, you know. Um, yeah. Anyone else? Yes, Margaret.
Yeah, I like what you said about the energy, generating the energy, because then it's less connected with volition
Mm.
in my
Mm.
mind. And uh, and I clearly know that volitional efforting, and I also know the energetic generating.
Yeah.
And it's lovely to work with that in the practice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it is lovely.
Sure.
And it's not something we either have or don't have. It's what we cultivate, right?
Yeah.
Energy can be cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
It's the practice of cultivating energy. Like when we fall into lethargy, right? We can cultivate and arouse that energy just by adding a little more interest,
Mm-hmm.
right, into what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes us out from the boredom. I don't really care. It doesn't matter. There's kind of like a leaning in. Let me get curious here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And then that part when we feel restless, it's that, kind of resting back into being. Yeah. So the theme for today's talk. Welcome, Kimberly. Yes. Thank you for your message. I'm glad you're here. Mm. Mhm. Yeah, the theme for today's talk is around, how do we practice being and go beyond the doing, and essentially this is what meditation is. It's learning how to, be with our experience. And it first begins with slowing down, right? So slowing down could look like we're learning how to walk slowly or to breathe slowly and deeply. It's like, when we first learned how to ride a bike or drive, or we like think of like learning how to write cursive. I don't know if they do that in school anymore. No? Okay. Yeah, it's like doing it really slowly to be so precise with it. So we slow down to cultivate mindfulness, right? So it's not a requirement to slow down, but slowing down is where we cultivate and deepen that quality of being aware and capturing the details, the subtlety. And then we come to a stop, right? We come to a stop to see what is already here in the space of our mind, of our body, so we can get connected to it. Acknowledge it. Get to know it. And that to me is like it's a it's an expression of love. Meditation is this expression of love because we come home to be with ourselves, just like a parent coming home to be with their child, or the eagle that comes home to be with its, baby. So I think of that like as a coming home to be with our perception, our memories, our feelings, our emotions. So what are we stopping when we come home, when we are practicing? We stop the doing. We stop the planning, the solving, the going into the future, visiting the past. So we stop all these things. We stop reaching out for another experience or to accomplish something. So we stop all of these things. And, as you sit, maybe the to-do list comes up, right? So we can acknowledge the to-do list or the memories, but like, oh, there's, it's there, yes. And then there's the moment of recognizing, oh, I don't have to actually do something about it right now. I was just thinking about this because the other day I was teaching at Portland Community College, and um, you know, many of the students haven't meditated before, and I led them in a 20-minute, 25-minute guided meditation, and that's a long time to sit for someone new to the practice. Yeah, and one of the persons said, "Oh my God, my to-do list was like it's usually here, but now it was like a little more distant. There's some space between me and that to-do list." So then the things that feel like there's this that urgency, needing to put out fire. I have to do this now, now, now. Could actually, be set aside, or that anxiousness or that way of being, of doing can start to calm down when we practice and we touch into that spaciousness that is around the thoughts, that is around the to-do list. Like it's like taking a step back and seeing a bigger picture, because before we're so close to something, it's like that tunnel vision. We can't see anything else. So the practice allows for us to kind of take a step back. But first we have to stop. We have to stop. We have to slow down and then stop. So much of our life we spend it doing, 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 and then next, what's next? So mindfulness is this, the art of mindfulness calls us back to being, being with what's already here, and getting in touch with the conditions of now. So maybe this is sound or the breath or sensations. I really appreciate in our morning meditation this morning and wake up together, Peggy was sharing around Zen Master Tujia, one of my root teacher, and how one of his way of his anchor, that helped ground him when he couldn't sleep, was the sound of the ticking clock. Yeah. So like as I was walking around, I was touched with my footstep, but I also was hearing the sound of the clock ticking, and made me think of Thai. And it brought a lot of comfort too, to know, oh yeah, I'm taking on a practice that even the Zen master, who's the father of mindfulness, is also practicing in that way. Because we all have the same human mind, right? Our mind is the same. So the miracle is not in being able to walk on water, but it's being able to walk on this earth. we're here. And when we reflect on that part of us that is habituated to doing, what's behind the doing? What's behind that doing? What's driving that doing that doesn't allow for us to stop and be with ourselves, our life, be with what's here now? What's driving that? So also during that class, I had shared a little bit about my background to the students, and someone asked, "How do you manage to do all these things in a day? You have so many things you are attending to." And one of the things that I said is releasing control, releasing control. And what's that attitude or quality of mind that allows for us to release control, releasing that need that we have to do everything or all of it, right? Or that we have to fix it, we have to figure it out, we have to know, we have to understand it now. It has to make sense now. So, what is that quality of mind that gives rise to letting go? Because there's one part of us that wants to let go, but what is it that helps us come back to that state of being? You know, so what is it that we're holding on to that doesn't allow for us to just be? And when we are finally, when we find ourselves back in that state of being, like you've shared, a number of you shared, where you're in that non-doing state, what's present? What qualities of mind are also present in that moment? And are you experiencing joy in your practice? Are you experiencing a sense of equanimity, just like feeling centered, where it's like welcoming all, everything is included. It's like this kind of inclusive view around whatever is arising in the field of awareness. Is it this kindness that's there, or this generous view that you have towards your mind, your body, towards the practice, and towards yourself while in the practice? It's really great to just be able to observe and notice that too, because what we're trying to parse out is these qualities of mind and how we can continue to generate them, cultivate them, so that it supports us in feeling that sense of calm and mindfulness and remain, with us for a longer stretch of time throughout the day, where we are, coming back to being. Yes, Margaret.
Well, I just wanted to share one of my very best teachers in respect to the being and the doing, and like you say, the control issues is I fractured my ankle, and I had to have, throughout my life I've had three rather uh, uh, dramatic operations on it, three extreme operations on it. And each time I had to recover, it took 6 weeks.
Mm.
And if anything teaches you the being and the doing,
Mhm.
it's, you know, while you're being, while you're healing, you are being.
Mhm.
And so many people want to heal faster.
Mm.
They want to be standing on that foot. And I noticed that the very, very best thing for me to do was just simply listen to,
Yeah.
you know, what the surgeon said about, you know, not stepping on it.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's like this way of wanting to do something to heal, and then there's letting it be for it to heal. Right.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah. And that leads me to a acronym that I made up today as I was thinking about this. Some of you know, like I have my like 7S, these acronyms and that this, that, and the other kind of to help us support us in the practice. And um, the acronym here is SAW, like SAW. And the first one is to slow down, right? So slow down or come to a stop and then allow things to unfold naturally. So there's the way in which we're allowing the experience. So allowing, in the case with Margaret, with the injury and surgery, is allowing for nature to take its course, do its thing. And then the W is when the time is right, things will come together. Yeah. So when the time is right, things will come together. So this can be applied to, you know, I think of like the years of me being a construction project manager, where you know it's like yes, the effort, and then now okay, now stop, slow down, take a step back, allow things to unfold, and then okay, when the time is right, it's all gonna come together. So it's almost like a cycle of of this and those moments where we like the tendency to just make it happen, push it through, and then there's this part of us that allows, you know, allow nature, allow the conditions to just fall into its place first. And in the effort aspect, there is, you know, the effort of trying to of sustaining and maintaining whatever's already wholesome. So like, or giving rise to the wholesome states. So how, we've been talking about cultivating kindness or patience or um, equanimity. So that's where we apply effort, is towards that. So instead of applying effort to try to fix or change the unwanted or try to, like make it go away, the only effort we are putting in here is like, at least in some aspects, is to, try to cultivate and generate that energy, that patience, that grace. Mhm. And that's where we do the work. It's not in trying to do something with the thought or feeling, but we're kind of bringing in and watering those other qualities of the heart and mind. And so going back to this way of non-being or non-doing, this way of being and non-doing, we can know of it through what we are familiar with. So we know of like our tendencies, our impulses, when they arise, maybe while sitting, there's like, I want to scratch that itch, or that feeling in my foot or my leg, bothers me, and I want to do something about it. So that's the doing part. And then getting in touch with that and oh, I want to do something about this. I see. And then is it possible in that moment to just observe the sensation? So even the itch, not calling it an itch, but it's a tingly sensation, and then staying with that experience, feeling into it, and then staying calm or soften the body instead of, clenching and tightening, because we know that doesn't do it. And then see what happens. See if it shift or change. So that's something you can play with in your meditation too. It's almost like a little fun game, you know, where we could play with those sensations or the feeling or even, and then we work our way up to things that maybe we work with things that are on a like a 2 or 3 level, and then things later that are a little bit harder, the 3, 4, 5 level, but maybe not turning towards it just yet. If in this sitting we feel like we don't have the capacity, right? And we just want to nourish ourselves. But then this is where we start to, meet our edge. So we start to, okay, now let me work with that. Be with that pain or be with that itch or, be with that tightness or heaviness or whatever it is. Be with that for, and okay, notice it's there. All right, it's there. Hello. Hello, pain. Hello, itch. I see you. And I'm here to be with you. So even talking to it, I'm here. I'm here with you. I got you. Right? And just mindfulness is just there, observing it, being with it. So this is how we cultivate the sense of being with the things in our life as well. This element of, of seeing, of witnessing, and oh, let's just see. Let's see. Let's be. So we're not like turning away from it or developing this indifference. We're fully there. We're fully there. We're fully there with the object or the person or the task at hand. But what's possible when we move from doing something about it or trying to make something happen? I got to do something about it, to being with it. And I'd love to just pause for a moment and just hear your thought. Is this any ways that this might be landing for you? Or how about, what if, any buts, always welcome here. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you talk about like being aware and not putting the effort into, I guess like the way I receive it is finding that pause and not reacting. So you kind of break that chain of habitual reactions. At least the way I want to integrate that would be to use your word, cultivate that observing and then potentially choose how I want to react.
Yes. Yes. How you want to respond. If I could replace
Yeah,
that
respond
word.
instead of
Yep.
react.
Yep.
Correct.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And Matt wants to share something. And then for those of you on Zoom, you can raise your virtual hand if someone's speaking in the room and you'd like to go next. Okay. Yeah. Oh, up a little bit more. There we go.
Testing. There we go. I'm coming back to my practice after a break of years. And while I wasn't practicing or like living intentionally, I really got really involved into work and really putting a lot of extra time into work and focus on my work, and a lot of doing. And you asked the question, like, what is behind that doing? And I've been realizing as I've been looking at this situation I'm in is that it was creating a lot of meaning in my life to have like all these things to do, and being part of this project, and it was very self-affirming as well because I became proud of the work I was doing. And then I find myself thinking about leaving this situation and like, well, what's the purpose of life if I don't have this thing I've been so wrapped up in for a few years? So it's been interesting to look at that. But I've seen how that meaning seeking through doing is really creating a lot of stress in my life to the point where I don't want to do it anymore. I have to make a change, or I think it's going to affect my health or going to continue to affect my well-being. So that's where I'm at today.
Thank you for sharing that so vulnerably, man. Yeah. And I can relate. And yes, many of you here are nodding. So yes, we can all relate. Many of us can relate to this, if not all. Yeah, that meaning we put behind the doing that drives us to keep doing. And when we stop, we have a moment to examine, why am I doing this? You know, what is that impulse? What is it rooted in? The feeling that, you know, if I don't do, what does that mean? I'm not enough, I'm inadequate, right? Whatever else we might have around that. Yes, Joe. Hi. Oh, good to see you.
Hi.
Can I
Hi,
smile
Trina.
so that it
Yeah.
can be okay? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for your comments, and it's good to hear the challenges and also what meditation can open up in terms of reflection and space. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Something hard happened between a very long time dear friend of mine and I over the last year. It really is a place of refuge, and if not answers, then just space.
Mm, mm, mm. Beautifully said. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Trina.
So glad I got to see your face after you've been practicing with us for some days now. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to get down there and I just didn't have even the energy to kind of come down the hill. So I was so glad the Zoom option was available.
I'm glad you came on Zoom.
Thanks. Thanks for this.
Yeah. I appreciate what Joe is saying. That if we can't find the answers, that at least there's space around it. Yeah. Yeah. So when we touch into that ground of being, we touch into this feeling of enoughness. Like all that's here is enough. And that feeling of dissatisfaction is not present. And when dissatisfaction is not present, there's contentment. And contentment lives in the here and the now. Contentment lives in the present moment when we recognize what is here is enough. So that those moments of reaching out for another experience of doing, doing. You might ask yourself, what is it that I'm viewing as not enough? Or as it could be better or different than how it is? Do I feel like I'm not enough? Do I feel like life right now is not good enough? Something about my job is not good enough. Finance is not good enough. Relationships not satisfying, not good enough. Right? So there's a dissatisfaction with what's here. That's also the other word for dukkha. So dukkha normally is translated as dukkha in Pali is translated as suffering, but another translation for it is that dissatisfaction we feel. Yes, Margaret.
Yeah, when the doing is not enough, that states to me that I've been finding an identity in doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it's almost a grieving that
Mm-hmm.
we feel. And, but it's a beautiful opening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So we're clinging to a certain view, a certain perception,
mm-hmm.
That's a delusion that is formed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
Hi, I'm Tony again, he, him. So sometimes I tend to refer to the ongoing difficult situation we currently have where our oldest, who's 30, um, was basically kicked out by his girlfriend of 10 years and then suddenly found himself having no place to go and then coming to stay with us. And there's been a lot of struggles in the way he relates to us and the way he relates to people. And so one of the struggles I have, especially being a more self-aware perfectionist, is that I tend to want to fix it. I tend to want to do something about it. And kind of like related to, this is what made me think of it, is what Joe was saying, that in trying to do something about it and engaging, I tend to just make it worse. And so my wife, Sina, and one of our other young adult children, who he's just over 20 and also lives with us currently. And they've all thought, it's probably best that I step back and just let it be. So kind of like the saw, just kind of slow down and allow it to happen, allow Sina to deal with it. And because I just tend to not deal well with Marshall, we tend to butt heads. And so the more I try to do, it just makes it worse. So just thought that kind of came to mind.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about how a lot of the doing for me comes from a place of fear. What happens if I don't do, or,
Yeah.
and thinking of like the societal pressures, of course, around doing. And
Yeah.
I was just feeling a lot of gratitude for Sangha and like coming together with folks to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of radical in that
Yeah.
sense.
it is.
And then it feels safe too, you know, like give some space from that fear.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for showing up.
Thanks, Jess.
Hi, my name's Ellen, and I like to be called she or her.
Ellen, can you move the mic just a little
A
closer?
little closer?
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
okay. I always think my natural voice is so loud. I really don't need that. The part about identifying so deeply with a role and really, and it was a woman on Zoom, I forget, Margaret maybe, who talked about it's like a grieving, you know, there's, I was thinking earlier today that part of my problem, whatever you want to call it, is I'm so deeply identified with being a mother. I mean, and my children are almost 45, 37, and 35. And I have had, you know, a tragic kind of mental illness, two of them. And so it's kept that alive, probably way that as protective as you feel towards your little ones, you know, because they're injured and vulnerable. And so much, though, it's very emotionally difficult because of the disease, and so much that if I just let it unfold, because not letting it unfold, I can't do that anymore. I can't, you know, I just can't be in that desperation to make it better. You know, I have to widen, but it's a good thing because, well, no, it's not, but I need to widen my self and my perception of who I am and let it grow out again, because in the process of many years of this becomes very isolating and everything focuses on this one problem, you know, this one thing. And so that's the time I'm in, you know, that I want to not be so tightly identified. Can I loosen that? Can I ease that? Can I open up to more things than that, more experiences than that? Because it's been my experience over and over and over.
Yeah.
I just want to say I am so happy being here. When I was meditating today, it was the first time I could naturally smile during meditation. I'll try and make my lips come out. And I was just, I gotta calm myself down though. So it was so fun. And I really thank all of you for being here and sharing it with me. It was great. Anyone want to take it?
Thank you, Ellen. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sina, she, her. So I was listening to what everybody had to say, and Trina, the Dharma talk, and the idea of concept of self kind of crept in my mind, and that's just a small aspect of it in terms of doing and the being. When word daggers get thrown at you, like if you, I kind of, because Tony outed our issue at home. So I'm like, yeah. So I get the, I hate you, I'm never gonna talk to you again, and I'm so angry. And I there was a time before when that would just really kill me, that, oh my God, my kid hates me. But I get the word daggers, and there's a part of non-self there that's more about, okay, this is, you being hurt, and lashing back is really not going to be effective here.
Mm-hmm.
And that was growth.
Amazing. Yeah.
That was like, so in some ways it's related to what you were saying.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, word daggers.
Yeah.
They're bad.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Christina. Yeah. Hmm. You know, and I want to just tie what everyone is saying together because going back to that question, you know, what's behind the doing? So this still brings up the three marks of existence. Okay, so that what's behind the doing, as some of you have shared, is this identification to the self, clinging to self. You know, what does this mean about me if I do, or if I don't do, what does this mean? Therefore, I need to do, right? So they're still grasping onto self and our roles and our, you know, our identity around what that doing means. And then the other facet I shared earlier was that sense of, you know, this unsatisfactoriness. So therefore I must do, right? That doing because there's a it's not good enough, right? It's not the way it wants to be. It's not perfect, right? So it's like having to let go and allow for the imperfection to be there. So that so when we cling to perfectionism or you know the sense of it should be this way rather than how it is, that's kind of resisting what is here now. That's the unsatisfactoriness that we're feeling. Dissatisfied with what's here, right? The conditions are not favorable, not to our liking. What is being said, what is being felt, how this moment is arising and passing away. It's not favorable. It's not the way we want it to be. So that's the other aspect of the characteristic of existence, which is also known as suffering. Okay. And then the third one is wanting things to be same or wanting things to be fixed a certain way. Like it's this wanting it to be permanent, right? Want it to not change. So sometimes we're doing because we're trying to maintain and keep something, you know, whether it's like keeping a relationship. So I'm just gonna keep trying, doing at this, or keep, you know, something that's meant to depart. It's meant to shift and change, whatever that might be. And so still it still draws upon the three characteristics of existence. And in that moment when we can see what's behind the doing and like that aha moment that Sina talks about of, oh, it's the self that gets, you know, involved in it, entangled in what is being said, right? This stimuli, which are someone saying certain things, and then there's the self that's just being with what is being said, not doing anything about it. Just, this is what's being heard. This is what's being seen. This is what's being felt, and just being with. So moving away from that reactivity and remind me your name again. Rob, yeah, what Rob was saying earlier about then, you know, observing and mindfulness is there accompanying that moment. And then there's where effort comes in is where we, you know, choose now how to be. So we're being with it. And then there's like, you know, resting back into this sense of, you know, spaciousness or that compassion or loving kindness in us that we can draw from to help us understand and support the moment. Oh, this person's hurting, or oh, you know, this is arising due to these causes and conditions coming together. So mindfulness and then wisdom, the wisdom of knowing these three characteristics that are here, that are present, or just even just touching into, oh, this is so unpleasant right now. You know, that too is very skillful. Just being able to name it. This is so unpleasant. You know, this feeling, this event that's occurring right here, right now, this argument, this conflict, so unpleasant. And here's how it feels like inside. I'm in touch with that unpleasant feeling. That's where we, step out of the reactivity or that possibility of getting ready to react. It's coming back to feel the unpleasantness, that's mindfulness of feeling tone. And oh my gosh, it feels like this. Whew. But knowing that this is a phenomena that is going to shift and change. And right now, the visceral experience of it is like this. And getting in touch with the dukkha, the suffering of it. Oh yeah, it's not easy to be with. But that recognition has us not turn away from it or not react from that place of pain or anger or whatever feeling, whatever it is that we normally carry, you know, anger towards ourselves or the way we beat ourselves up. You need to do more, you need to be better, whatever it is. You need to be more kind, more blah, 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 right? It's just that way in which we can have grace to the sensation, the thought, the feeling. Even our own anger, we can have grace to it. We're not pushing that away. So again, that's a naturally arising phenomena. We're not pushing that away either. We're just, stopping, allowing. And the other W, I change it to like watch, and wait. And when the time comes, it will shift and change. Yes. Yes, Joe.
I was just thinking about these heartaches that people were expressing and how the ability to step into our flow of meditation allows us to feel not only our suffering, but then in reflection to see the other suffer and understand that's happening. When you're too in it and you're just, experiencing anger or frustration, you just see this obstacle. And when you slow down and you just allow that opening and non-doing, you can see that that there's someone on the other side of it too. And that's peacemaking. That's like nonviolence. That's really, even if there may be no solution and somebody's going to either be angry with you or have a hard time or just be hurt. It is just an allowing of that other person's humanity. And it's so much less, so much less painful.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And we're not adding to it.
Yeah.
We're not adding fuel to the fire.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that and reflecting that.
Mm.
Yeah, this is the way of nonviolence. This is the way of peace. Peace first for ourselves. Yeah. For our nervous system. For our habit energy. So calming and soothing it. It's okay. I know you want to do, you know, I know you feel like you're not enough. It's okay. So it's that way in which we express some tender love and care. It's okay. I see you. I know you're there. And I'm home. I've come home to be with you. So acknowledging that part within us. There's a quote from Achancha, who's a Thai forest monk in the Theravada tradition that I'd like to share with you. Wherever you are, know yourself by being natural and watching. If doubt arise, watch them come and go. It's very simple. Hold on to nothing. And then in this moment, I feel compelled to share this poem, one of my favorite poems out of many. But this poem is really resonates with what has been said today. So I think it's relevant and an offering to you that you might find could be the balm for the heart and the mind in touching into that aspect of us that has been so conditioned to doing. What if there is no need to change? No need to transform yourself into someone who is more compassionate, more present, more loving or wise? How would this affect all the places in your life where you are endlessly trying to be better or different? What if the task is simply to unfold, to become who you already are in your essential nature? Gentle, compassionate, and capable of living fully and passionately present. What if the question is not, why am I so infrequently the person I really want to be? But rather, why do I so infrequently want to be the person I really am? How would this change what you think you have learned? What if becoming who and what we truly are happens not through striving and trying, but by recognizing and receiving the people and places and practices that are for us the warmth of encouragement we need to unfold? How would this shape the choices you make about how to spend today? What if you know that the impulse to move in a way that creates beauty in the world will arise from deep within and guide you every time you simply pay attention and wait? How would this shape your stillness, your movement, your willingness to follow this impulse to just let go and dance? Taking a moment to let the wind land. What if there's no need to change by Oriah Mountain Dreamer? So what if the question is not, why am I so infrequently the person I really want to be, but rather, why do I so infrequently want to be the person I really am? So thank you all for sharing of yourself and for being in community in Sangha today, and for offering your reflection, a part of you into the space. Anytime you share, you're giving of yourself now. So this is kind of the it's the process of giving and receiving. You know, when we offer ourselves, we're sharing of ourselves, we're giving, and when we're listening, we're receiving. And in that, you know, that law of giving and receiving, I'd also invite you to consider making a donation for today. So our teachings are offered freely, and when I think of, you know, the value that the spiritual practice and the spiritual community can be for us, what is the value we put on that? And how do we translate that into, you know, what would it mean to sustain community? You know, the many hands that have put in their generous energy to maintain and sustain, the space, the community. What energy could we give having received? So considering what that might be for you, there's if you'd like to feel compelled and you'd like to continue to support our mission to offer a space as such as you experience today. There's I'll put a link in the chat for those who want to donate online. And then there's also a QR code right by the door on the table if you'd like to put some cash in there. And all of that goes to support the space rental and then for when we have guest teachers. Because most of the time the guest teachers come from afar and we want to express our gratitude to them. And this follows in the Buddhist tradition of dana, D-A-N-A, where instead of it being a transactional type of thing where you pay and then we give, right? This is more of a generous practice where it's give freely without expecting anything, and then the other way to receive and then offer our gratitude, by giving back. Yes. So I will put this in the chat here, and perhaps yeah, I was gonna say close with a song, but I think we're up on time. So thank you everyone for being here. And next week we have a teacher, a local teacher who will be here. Her name is Alexa Redner. She's a really wonderful teacher. I hope you'll come to be with her as she will offer a guided meditation and a talk. She's a student of Jack Cornfield and Tara Brach. Yes, and she's a part of the mentor. She's a mentor for the mindfulness meditation certification. I can't remember the full acronym of it, but she's a mentor for those who are training to become mindfulness teachers. So I hope you come and hear her and be with her. And then also, if you're we offer a lot of different opportunities to practice. I lead a daily morning meditation group at 6:30 a.m. And also I'll be teaching a mindfulness-based stress reduction course beginning June 4th, meeting every Wednesday for 8 weeks. And inside of that, there's also a one-day retreat as well, but that's more of a secular lens. So it still has the Buddhist underpinnings, but it's, in the form that was developed by John Kabat-Zinn, has been researched and proven to be effective, this practice of mindfulness. And we will practice mindful eating, mindful walking, mindful communication, mindful movement and meditation with practicing focus attention, open awareness, and how to meet the unwanted. So that's, backed by the study of neuroplasticity, right? And how the mind is not fixed. We can, transform the ways our mind and create new neural pathway through cultivating mindfulness. So if you're interested in that course, it's available on my website. It's wakeuptogether.org/MBSR. That's mindfulness-based stress reduction.
Thank you, Trina. I have to get going, but take care, everyone.
Take care, Margaret. Great to hear from you.
Thank you very much.
The waves and yes, and so yeah, there are other opportunities to practice with Candle Summers and Candle Summers teaching. I think it's Sunday and Tuesday or Monday, and then we have our Be Queer Now that meets on Sunday, and then there's a BIPOC group that meets on Sunday too at 4:30 p.m. So if you want to learn about that, or someone who would be interested in that, just you can message us online or see me, and I can connect you to that group. And then our Neuro Sangha also meets. I think it's on Tuesday. So lots of opportunity to practice and affinity groups that supports the sense of community and coming together in a safe space where we feel held and supported. Yeah. So thank you everyone for being here, and I hope to see you in the next week. And yeah, it's great to meet a lot of new faces today. Yes. Please come back again. Yes. And Joe, great to see you. Feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like to say goodbye.